Welcome to another episode of Daniel Goes Outside, or known as Daniel Goes to the Airport, because I think the last few of these have been me going to the airport. But yes, I am going outside because I am going to the Calgary airport, because I am going to Dallas, Texas to go to a tech conference that is called Workplace Ninjas US. And it is actually the very first time that Workplace Ninjas US is putting on a conference. I have now cleared customs and I am in the, US side of the Calgary International Airport. And I just got to go find my gate and wait for my flight. Workplace Ninjas is effectively kind of like the unofficial, official Microsoft community kind of VMUG or World of UC version that's just very much Microsoft. And the US division just spun up recently, and this is their very first conference. There's actually Workplace Ninjas Canada, but I didn't know about Workplace Ninjas for a very long time, so I've never actually checked that out. So I do plan to check that out at some point. But Workplace Ninjas US is going to be really cool because it's a 2-day conference where there's so many presentations about Microsoft things, and literally everything is Microsoft focused, which is super cool because I deal a lot with Microsoft. And there'll be stuff like talks about Intune, Entra, Active Directory, all kinds of things. So it's gonna be really cool. I'm very excited for it. And it's the first one, so it should be really good. So now I am in Dallas. I am in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport, and Steven is actually going to the same conference as me, but he's on a totally different flight. It is currently 10:30 local time, and I think he gets in at 9 or 10 local time. So I'm here a whole 12 hours before him. Let's check in with him and see how his flight's going.
Okay, so I made it. I got here before you, even though technically I took off after you. That wasn't Daniel here. For whatever reason, I decided to take the long trip through Toronto. I think I was up in the air for about 7-8 hours or something like that.
I'd like to point out what date it is.
You can't see that. I'm technically here before you because you're still in mid-flight.
What?
And this is actually the second time I've been to this airport this year, because when I was going to VMUG Connect in St. Louis, I had a connecting flight through this airport. But this is the first time I've actually exited the airport, I think. At least this year it is. Oh yeah, and now I need to find a way to get to the hotel and see if they'll let me check in early, because I am super early. And look, there's a mini SkyTrain thing behind me, which is how you can get to the different terminals, because Dallas-Fort Worth is a huge airport. And it's pretty cool. Last time I was here, I got to ride one of those because I had to connect between the different terminals. Well, this is my room for the next 3 days, I think. It's not a bad room. Let's see what my view is. I can see some sort of sports thing, a parking lot, traffic, and some buildings. Not bad. And some other buildings. There's a giant TV. There's a fancy bar. I don't think these ones are weight sensitive. Oh, even more stuff. Very cool. I've now arrived at the Highland in Dallas, Texas, and it's super awesome because even though it is there's no clock. I don't know what time it is. Even though it's I think 11:30, and check-in time is in the PM at some point, I was still able to check in, which is super awesome and super convenient. And then I texted my friend Neil, who is he is assisting with the Workplace Ninjas US event. And right now, today, there's a hackathon going on. And I didn't sign up for it because it started at 10 o'clock and I knew my flight wouldn't be here in time. So But I did message him and found out that yes, people can just show up and go check out the hackathon even though they're not participating. So I'm gonna go do that because that runs from 10 o'clock until like 4 p.m. And then, yeah. So, and I think I can also get checked into the event there too. So then I can just deal with that all today, which will be super great. Oh yeah. And my hotel room number is 403, which is really funny because in Calgary, one of the area codes that exists is 403. So I think that's kind of funny. And this is my badge. See, each of these items are magnets, which is pretty cool. The whole concept of them, because this, I got the Intune one, and I think this is one of the sponsors, and then just my registration one. And like even these are magnets. These are also magnets, but they're hard to take out. And these parts are part of things that you can like trade. And yeah, there's all the rules and stuff about it where effectively speakers will give you, like if you ask questions or participate in a talk, then they'll give you like Clippy Bucks, and then you can trade in Clippy Bucks for different rarity badges and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. I have never seen this kind of concept before. Well, today is day one of Workplace Ninjas US, and I am going to go head downstairs and meet up with Steven, who got in at like 10 o'clock, which is crazy because that's a whole like 12 hours, 11 hours after I got in, and he took the scenic route. The day one of Workplace Ninjas will be a bunch of sessions. I'm going to be attending sessions about Intune, Entra, and 365 in general. And it should be really good. Very quickly, I just want to say that the very first day of Workplace Ninjas was a heck of a lot of fun. I learned a ton of things. I have notes about the different sessions that I went to. I will go over that later in this video because I'm gonna go meet up with some friends and we're gonna go for sushi because why the heck not? Well, I just got back from going for sushi with some friends, and Dallas, Texas has some really good sushi, even though it's very landlocked. It was really good. Well, day one of Workplace Ninjas was a heck of a lot of fun. And one really cool thing is that as you asked questions, you would get these things that are called Clippy Bucks, which are these things that look like US currency. And from getting the Clippy Bucks, you can buy different magnets for your badges. And because I asked a bunch of questions, I have a bunch of Clippy Bucks, which is super cool. Also, I ended up meeting the TikToker, the Help Desk Girl, because she is attending the event and was actually one of the winners of the Workplace Ninjas sponsorship, which is really cool. She's a very nice person. The day started off with a keynote session, which was done by a Microsoft person who is like the director of Intune or something like that. I don't remember exactly what their title is, but they talked about a lot of upcoming things with 365 and Intune. And one of the big things is that Intune Suite, which used to be its own like add-on product, is no longer an add-on product. Well, it won't be in like July, it will get fixed, but effectively the Intune Suite has been divided between Microsoft 365 E3 and Microsoft 365 E5, and it is no longer an add-on suite, which is super cool. So you get like Cloud PKI, Enterprise Application Management, all of that within E5 or E3, which is super cool. The big thing is, actually I think most of that is in Microsoft 365 E5, but E3 also ends up with the Intune Suite Plan 2, which comes with remote help and a few other things that I cannot remember the names of. Another big thing that they announced is that the Intune refresh window is no longer 8 hours. It's actually been dropped to like 25 minutes to like an hour, depending on what the settings are that you changed, which is very impressive because I remember waiting 8 hours for changes to take effect. So it being dropped down is like almost within the GPO refresh period, which is super cool. Oh, and at the initial keynote, there was a bunch of ninjas that like showed up and did a whole like ninja session, which is really cool because I was sitting at the very, very front and it was very close, but it was really cool to see. Another really cool session that I attended was about Mastrio, which was by Merle and Fabian. I think that's how you say their names. Anyways, they talked about version 2, which I think was released later today or will be released very, very soon. And it's really cool because it allows you to tell the compliance state of your Intune and Entra tenant, which is really, really cool and very convenient because it allows you to double check settings and as well as like config drift. And Microsoft actually Merle works for Microsoft, so Microsoft ended up making their own version of this called the Zero Trust Assessment, which is really, really cool, and he directly worked on that, which is extra cool. So a lot of the functionality that exists in this Microsoft Zero Trust Assessment will be coming to Mastrio, and some of the things I think from Mastrio will be going to the Zero Trust Assessment, which is very cool. I think the Zero Trust Assessment could do a little bit more, but it still was very cool to see that you could build your own custom reports and everything. I also attended a session about securing 365, and one of the things that they mentioned in that session was rather than just allow listing one of the domains, it would be better to make a transport rule that allows the domain, but only if DKIM and SPF pass, which is a much better idea than just allow listing the entire domain no matter what happens. So that's definitely something I'm going to start applying, and I never thought about that. So that's really cool. All in, day one of Workplace Ninjas was a heck of a lot of fun. I feel like I have learned so much, and there's still so much to learn. I even attended a session about passkeys and how passkeys function, and realized there's still so much to learn about passkeys and making them function in a way that works great for the end user as well as for the IT admins. There is still so much to learn, and I think things might get a little bit easier in February because Microsoft is rumored to be announcing a feature that will make it easier. I don't remember what the feature is. I just remember that I need to look at passkeys in February of 2026. All in, day one of Workplace Ninjas was so much fun. Highly recommend. Also today, everybody got Workplace Ninjas backpack, which came with a Workplace Ninjas keychain, as well as a Workplace Ninjas shirt, and some Workplace Ninjas stickers. And tomorrow is day 2 where there's going to be a heck of a lot of sessions, so that's going to be super awesome. I'm going to go sleep because I need sleep so that I can retain more information tomorrow. Also, what's really cool is the bed has underglow, which is super interesting. The underglow that the bed has is basically just a motion sensor that senses when there's movement, which is really cool. I've never really seen that, but a bed with underglow is super convenient. Well, today is day 2 of Workplace Ninjas, and I am ready to go meet some new people and learn way more things. Well, day 2 of Workplace Ninjas is now completed. It was the final day of Workplace Ninjas US, and it was a heck of a lot of fun. I attended a bunch of sessions. Some of the sessions I attended were about setting up and deploying Global Secure Access, also known as GSA, which I played with a while back, and Microsoft recently at Ignite, which I think was in November, they announced a bunch of changes with it and a bunch of improvements, and some of the things that I was struggling with GSA have now been fixed. So I'm super excited to play with that again. One of the sessions I attended was talking about kind of the baseline security posture and like the baseline level of conditional access policies. And they were saying that a really good security posture for conditional access is like 119 rules. One of the sessions I attended today was about CBA, certificate-based authentication, which is really interesting. And it made me realize that I need to learn even more things about certificates because there's so much you can do with them. Like, you can use them as MFA, not MFA, single factor. You can use them kind of like a passkey, which is really, really cool. I want to play with that more. Oh, and one of the sessions I attended was about conditional access. A lot of the sessions I attended were about identity and conditional access because that stuff is really interesting to me. We were all talking about like how to do traveling users, and no one was talking about access packages when you could just totally do it with access packages. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to do a blog post on that because I don't have a blog post on that, and I have an awesome way that with like access packages where you can handle traveling users, and that'll be really cool. All in, the event was a heck of a lot of fun. I ended up with so many of the Clippy tokens, whatever the heck that you want to call them, not really Clippy tokens, but I ended up with a bunch of Clippy bucks, so I was able to get a bunch of the magnets or badges for Workplace Ninjas, which was really, really cool. In the comments below, let me know, have you ever been to a Microsoft Tech Conference? Have you ever been to Microsoft Ignite or a Workplace Ninjas event? Let me know in the comments. Also, they announced that the next Workplace Ninjas will take place in Scottsdale, Arizona, and will take place in February 2027. I plan on attending. Do you? Let me know in the comments below. All in, it was a heck of a lot of fun, and it was a really great experience. I have learned so much, and there's still so much to learn. And I was able to connect with a lot of new and interesting people. I had a lot of great conversations with a ton of people. I had a blast. But yeah, tomorrow's a travel day. I have to wake up super early to catch an early flight to get back to Calgary. Well, today is the day after Workplace Ninjas, and it is a travel day for me. I will be meeting up with my friend Steven, and he and I will be heading to the airport so we can fly back to Calgary. And now I have made it to the Dallas airport, and there's a Steven here. He's eating jelly beans in his coffee cup. Now I am on my way back to Calgary, and I'm going to be racing Steven, but I'm so nice, I'm going to give him a head start, and I'm pretty sure I'm still going to beat him. I made it from Dallas into Calgary, and they let me back into Canada. And it went from like 14 degrees Celsius in Dallas to minus 14 in Calgary. It's cold. Well, I am finally back home from Workplace Ninjas US. It was the very first Workplace Ninjas US event, and the event was a heck of a lot of fun. I feel like I have learned so much, and that there is still so much to learn. I greatly enjoyed that. I think part of the reason why I enjoyed it so much is because I deal a lot with Microsoft, like Microsoft Entra, Microsoft Intune, and Microsoft SharePoint. I'd say OneDrive, but OneDrive and SharePoint are basically the same thing, and just kind of the whole Microsoft stack. So the benefit of Workplace Ninjas being very Microsoft focused was extremely beneficial for me. I absolutely loved that. The entire event left me feeling very, very inspired. And if John ever watches this video, I want to say, hey John, you did a really good event, and also the food was good. I highly recommend that you check out Workplace Ninjas, as it is possible that Workplace Ninjas may have an event happening in your city, as there's different chapters all across the globe. And Workplace Ninjas US actually announced they're going to be hosting another Workplace Ninjas US conference, and it will be in February 2027, so that it doesn't really conflict with Christmas and stuff like that, because Workplace Ninjas US, the first one, was in December, so it got a little close, well, not super close to Christmas, because Christmas is still a ways away, but still it's a difficult time for some people to travel. You know what we should do? We should check in with Steven and see where he's at in his travels back to Calgary, because I get the feeling that I might have won the race back to Calgary, because it is currently 1:45 p.m. and I am back home in Calgary.
Well, it's certainly not 1:45 p.m. here. It's 8:15 Mountain Time. It's been a long day, as you can tell by the bags underneath my eyes. Spent a delightful 6 or 7 hours at Toronto Pearson, which was only supposed to be 3, but made it back in one piece, and I hope I didn't lose anything. I don't think I lost anything. Either way, it turned out to be an amazing conference, so I'm super happy about that. Really excited for the next one coming up. John did a fantastic job. Daniel, back to you.
All in, Workplace Ninjas US was a total blast. I learned so much and had so much fun. I highly recommend that you check it out if there is a Workplace Ninjas in your area, or check out Workplace Ninjas US. Let me know in the comments below. Have you ever been to a Workplace Ninjas conference? Were you at Workplace Ninjas US? And that pretty much sums up this video. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video, and don't forget to have an epically awesome day. Bye.